Hello, my name is Avatar Bryson and welcome to my Genetics 311 exam video on pedigrees and different modes of inheritance. To begin, a pedigree is a visual representation of a family tree that shows the inheritance of one or more traits through different generations. In this video, I will be looking at the pedigree of the characters in the Nickelodeon TV show Avatar: The Last Airbender. In a pedigree, males are represented by squares and females by circles. Mating pairs and their offspring are all connected by horizontal and vertical lines. An individual affected with the trait of interest will be shaded, and an unaffected individual will be unshaded or open. In our case, affected individuals will exhibit the waterbending trait, and unaffected individuals will exhibit the airbending trait. Dominant traits will always be expressed over recessive traits. With this in mind, an individual in our pedigree with the recessive trait will need to have the genotype a, also called homozygous recessive. An individual with a dominant trait can be either homozygous dominant, big A, or heterozygous, big A. Using our pedigree, we're now going to look at the different modes of inheritance to determine if waterbending is X-linked dominant or recessive, autosomal dominant or recessive, or a Y-linked trait. To begin, we're going to look at X-linked inheritance, where the gene is only located on the X chromosome. First up, we're going to look at X-linked dominant traits. While these traits appear in both females and males, it is more present in females because they can receive an X-linked dominant allele from both parents, whereas a male can only receive the X-linked dominant allele from his mother. When doing the cross for this inheritance pattern, waterbending characters must have a dominant allele on their X chromosome. Does this cross work? Yes. Next up is X-linked recessive, which affects more males than females because males only need to inherit one copy of the recessive allele from their mother to display the trait. In this case, shaded individuals must be homozygous recessive to be a waterbender. For right now, I've only done the cross for the first two generations. Does this pattern correlate with an X-linked recessive trait so far? No. After crossing Katara and Aang's offspring, their daughter and sons don't have the correct genotype that matches their phenotype. Next up, we have Y-linked inheritance. This is easily recognizable because only males can be affected since the trait is on the Y chromosome. This means all waterbenders would need to be male. Does this work out? No, because waterbenders Katara and Kaya are both female. Now we're going to look at autosomal inheritance, where sex doesn't matter because the traits aren't associated with a particular chromosome. In autosomal dominant inheritance, every waterbender must have a dominant allele, and every airbender must be homozygous recessive. Looking at the cross provided, does this pattern match? Yes. Next, we have autosomal recessive inheritance, which is really just the opposite of autosomal dominant. The waterbenders need to be homozygous recessive, and the airbenders need to have one dominant allele. After doing this cross, does the pattern match with autosomal recessive inheritance? Yes. In summary, waterbending is consistent with X-linked dominant, autosomal recessive, and autosomal dominant inheritance, but isn't correlated with X-linked recessive and Y-linked inheritance. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this mini video. Tune in for the next episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender, Genetics Edition.